Let's see the first one, factor by grouping. If we have four terms, so we can group first two and last two. So for the first two, we have x cubed and negative 2x squared. I can factor out the lowest power x term, so that is x squared. And then we have x minus 2 left. Why I can get the x here? Because I know that from x cubed equals x times another x. If I factor out the x squared, I have x left. And then I factor out the x squared from the second term, I have 2 left. And then plus, so factor out the GCF from 2 and negative 4, that is 2. So I got x minus 2. And here they have x minus 2. So let's factor out the x minus 2. We have x squared plus 2 left. So this is the factored form here. And next one, factor the, close this. Okay, factor the following by grouping. We also use the same method, group factoring. So factor out the GCF from these two. So this one has the lower power x. I factor out the x squared. So I have x minus 6 left. And then rest of them, nothing can be factored because there's no GCF for x and negative 6. I just use parentheses, contain them, x minus 6. Both of them have the x minus 6. Pull out the GCF x minus 6. So I have x squared left. And here must have 1. So x squared plus 1. And then next one, factor the expression by grouping. The same method. So first two, we factor out the x squared. We have 2x minus 3. And then rest of them, so I must to create 2x minus 3. That means I need to factor out the negative GCF. So for 12 and 18, the GCF must be negative 3. So, negative 6. So factor out negative 6. I have 2x minus 3. Because I factor out negative 6 from positive 18, I have negative 3 left. So factor out the 2x minus 1. 2x minus 3. 2x minus 3. I have x squared minus 6. Next one is the conjugate formula, x squared minus 9. We have learned conjugate formula is x squared minus a squared minus b squared equals a plus b times a minus b. And then I see x squared minus 9. This is x squared minus 3 squared. This is x plus 3, x minus 3. If I have 25, for example, 25 x squared minus 9, how to factor this? Is this a conjugate formula? Yes, it is, because 25 is 5 squared and then x squared minus 3 squared. So these two all has the squared. That means 5x, all of them squared, minus 3 squared. This is 5x plus 3, and then 5x minus 3. So let's see next example. Oh, the same one. I don't need to give you this example, but it's okay. So let's see this one. So the a squared, that's the 4x squared minus b squared, that's 5 squared. So this one equals 4x plus 5 times 4x minus 5. And then next one, fill in the blanks. In order to solve this by using quadratic formula. So quadratic formula means we must have ax squared plus bx plus c, and then equals 0. if the expression is not like this, is not everything on the left-hand side, we must move all the terms to one side. So for example, if I have this expression, that means I can't have 3x plus 9 here. I must have a 0 here. So both sides, I must subtract 3x and 9. So that means the left-hand side is x squared minus 3x. Then minus 9. So the right-hand side is 0. Now, what is A? What is B? What is C? So A is 1, B is -3, and C is -9. So you just fill the blanks here, A, B, and C. Number 7, use factoring to solve the quadratic formula. Check by substitution by using a graphing utility and identifying x-intercept. So the solution set. So what is the solution set of this? We can factor it. So let's see if we can use A&M method because the leading term is x squared. So negative 63 is the multiplication of two numbers. And then addition of these two numbers is -2. What are they? So how about 7 and 9? Yes, the difference between them is 2. And also the multiplication is 63. And which one is negative? 9 must be negative because I want to get a addition of these two numbers and equals -2. So the expression, the factor of the expression is x plus 7 times x minus 9 equals 0. That means x plus 7 equals 0 or x minus 9 equals 0. And then solve them individually. So -7 both sides, x equals -7, and then plus 9 both sides, x equals 9. So I have two solutions. And next one, solve the equation by factoring. So let's move all the terms to the left-hand side. So x squared. So get rid of 3x plus 30. I must subtract 3x and 30, both sides. So minus 3x minus 40 equals 0. And then let's factor this one by the A&M method. Here is A, here is M. So -40, so not 40. -40. So find the two fractions, two factors. The difference is 3, so there are 5 and 8. One of them must be negative because the multiplication is negative. So 8 is more negative because the sum of these two can create a -3. So 8 is negative. That means I can get a factor form x plus 5 times x minus 8 equals 0. So solve them separately. This x plus 5 equals 0 or x minus 8 equals 0. So both sides subtracted by 5, x equals -5, and then here x equals 8. We have two solutions. And next one, x squared equals 6x plus 16. This is the perfect square. So the same way, so make the right-hand side equal 0. That means subtract the 6x and the 16 both sides. So x squared minus 6x minus 16 equals 0. Can I use perfect squared? I think we still use the A&M method because it's easier. So A&M, so 16 is the multiplication of two numbers, and addition of them is 6. So they cannot be 4 and 4 because 4 and 4, I cannot make a 6. So how about 2 and 8? Yes, the difference between 2 and 6 is 2 and 8 is 6. So which one is negative? So 8 is negative because the sum of these two numbers can make a -6. So the factored form is x plus 2 times x minus 8. So solve them individually, solve these two. So x equals -2 or x equals +8. And then next one, use the factoring to solve the quadratic equation. Okay, so for this one, so move everybody to the left-hand side. We have 2x squared minus 7x minus 4, because if I'm subtracting 4 both sides, I must subtract the 4 here, equals 0. I can't use ANM method because here the first leading term is 2x squared. That means we use AC method. C is a coefficient of x squared, that's 2. C is -4, so A times C equals 2 times -4, that's -8. And break it down into two numbers. The addition is -7. So the first one is 1, second one is 8. And then which one is negative? So 8 must be negative because the sum of 1 and -8 can make a -7. That means next step for the AC method, we break down the middle term into x and -8x. So now the expression becomes this. So 2x squared plus x minus 8x minus 4 equals 0. And then group first two and the rest of them. So factor out the x, we have 2x plus 1. And then pull out 4 because GCF from 8 and 4 is 4. So pull out -4. And then in the parentheses, I must create the same part. That's 2x plus 1 equals 0. And pull out the GCF. That's 2x plus 1 times x minus 4 equals 0. And solve them separately. So 2x plus 1 equals 0. Or x plus minus 4 equals 0. So here, subtract 1 both sides. 2x equals -1. And x is -1/2. And here x equals 4 because add 4 both sides. And number 11, we should combine the like terms because we must clear the parentheses first. So for this one, I need some space. So you can pause the video and copy down the previous questions solution. And then I clear all of this. So let me clear all of this area. So now let me choose a thin pen. And now get rid of the parentheses. I must distribute the 3x here and here. So 3x squared minus 9x equals 8x squared minus 11x. So if I want to make a positive leading term must be highest power of the x. So I can subtract the 3x squared both sides. And also, if I want to move everybody to one side, I also need to move the -9x. That means I minus 3x squared. And then plus 9x. Another side, also I do minus 3x squared plus 9x. So this side is 0, another side is 8x squared minus 3x squared, that's 5x squared. 5x squared, and then here minus 11 plus 9, that's minus 2x. And from here, let's factor out the GCF, that's x. So factor out the x, I have 5x minus 2. So here 0 is on the left-hand side, but we know that if I put it on the right-hand side, it's the same. That means maybe x equals 0, maybe 5 minus 2 is 0. So we have x equals 0, or 5x minus 2 equals 0. Can you solve this one? So we add 2 both sides. We have 5x equals 2. Divided by 5 both sides, we got x equals 2 over 5. Next one is the same method, solving equation by square root property. So the square root property is, for example, x squared equals 4. So take the square root of both sides. You got plus or minus sign. Be careful. Be more careful here. You have positive or negative square root of 4. So x equals positive or negative 2. And for this question, we leave the x squared on one side. Let's get more space. We leave x squared on one side. Right now, I better to leave it on the left-hand side. So get rid of the 5 here by subtract the 5 both sides. So 3x squared. So I subtract the 5 here, I subtract the 5 here, I got 9. Divided by 3 both sides, because I want to get rid of the 3. So divided by 3, x squared equals 3. And then take the square root, x equals plus or minus square root of 3. Okay, next one, solve the equation by square root property, the same thing. Okay. So this one, get rid of the negative 3. So plus 3 both sides. 3x squared equals, so this side is negative 48. Divided by 3 both sides. X squared equals, what is this? 48 divided by 3. That's negative 1/6. So take the square root of both sides. If you do this, you have plus or minus square root of negative 16. What is square root of negative 16? That's not a real number. That is positive or negative square root of 16 times 16 times negative 1. You can break it down into 2 parts, plus or minus square root of 16 times square root of negative 1. So this one is positive negative 4 because square root of 16 is positive negative 4. Square root of negative 1, that's imaginary number I. So we got positive negative 4i. And next one, solve the equation by the square root property. The same thing, get rid of the 3 first. Divided by 3 both sides. So x squared plus 7, sorry, no squared. X plus 7 and all of them squared equals square 36 divided by 3. That's 1, 2, that's 12. So take the root both sides, square root both sides. X plus 7 equals, when you are taking a root for the variables, that's square root of that's positive or negative square root of 12. I know square root of 12 is positive or negative is 4 times 3, right? So the 4 can be pulled out from the square root because 4 is 2 squared. This is positive or negative 2 square root 3. Then I'm solving the x. That means subtract the 7 both sides. So x equals positive or negative, x equals negative 7 because both sides are subtracted 7. So negative 7 plus or minus 2 square root 3. Okay, let's see next one. The same method. Take the square root both sides. When I'm taking square root, I have positive negative square root of negative 7. And then x minus 7 equals positive negative square root of negative 7. I know negative square root of negative 7, that is square root of 7 times square root of negative 1. Sorry. So this one is square root of positive negative square root of 7i. And then I'm solving x. That means I need to add 7 both sides. X equals 7 plus or minus square root of 7i. Next one is the same. Take the square root of both sides. So 5x plus 2 equals square root of 16. Don't forget positive or negative. That's positive negative 4. And then we have two cases. One case is, so the solution equals 4. That means 5x plus 2 equals positive 4. So solve this, add 2 both sides. Oh, sorry, subtract 2. Subtract 2 because I won't get rid of the 2 from the left-hand side. So minus 2 minus 2. 5x equals 2 divided by 5, x equals 2 or 5. And also has another case. 5x plus 2 equals negative 4. So both sides subtract by 2. So 5x equals negative 6. X equals negative 6 over 5. Okay, next one. Solve the quadratic formula by completing the squared. So when we learn to the completing squared things, we must know that the perfect square formula, a squared plus 2ab plus b squared equals a plus b squared. And also you know a squared minus 2ab plus b squared equals a minus b squared. So for this one, if I have two, so first two terms, that means I have a squared and 2ab. Can you construct a b squared and then make a perfect square like this? So if I keep the first two terms and then move the negative 4 away, so I add 4 both sides. So x squared minus 2x equals 4. And then x squared is ax minus 2ab, 2 times x times b. So since here is 2x, that means b is 1. And then plus b squared, because this is b squared, that's 1 squared, that's 1. And then if I add 1 on one side, I need to add the same amount on another side. So all of this is a perfect square using this. So x minus 1 squared equals 5. And then both sides take the root, square root. I got positive negative square root of 5. So x minus 1 equals positive negative square root of 5. And then x equals 1 plus or minus square root of 5. Next one is the same. Solve the quadratic formula by completing the square. So we're using the same way, but this one, I think the middle term is not the even number, that's the odd. So I think even the question is asking about solve the equation by completing the square, but I prefer to use A and M method because it satisfied A. The leading term is x squared. Let's try if it worked. So 6 is a multiplication of two numbers. And then addition of these two factors is negative 5. So they must be 2 and 3, both of them negative. Do you agree with this? Because the multiplication can make a positive 6. So I have x minus 2 and then x minus 3 equals 0. And then solve them separately. So x equals 2, x equals 3. So I got two solutions. Next one, solve the quadratic equation by completing squares. So this one, I tried the A and M method. I think it doesn't work because if here is A, here is M, multiplication of two factors can make a negative 7. But anyway, I cannot make a 11. So let's try to use completing the square method. Let's clean this area. So completing the squared, keep the first two terms and try to move the -7 away. So add 7 both sides. X squared plus 11 x equals +7. And then x squared plus 11x, because in the lecture we talked about how to construct the last term. I must add the half of the middle coefficient and then square it. This is a perfect square. And then 7, add the same amount, add 11/2 squared. So all of this is a perfect square. That's x plus 11/2 squared plus equals 7 plus, so what is 11 divided by 2 squared? That's 121/4. So if I combine these two together, I must have 28/8, over 4 plus 121/4. Let's see, x plus 11/2 squared equals, add the tops together. That's 49 divided by 4, and then take the root to both sides. So x plus the square root both sides. X plus 11/2 equals positive or negative square root of 149/4. And then we continue to simplify that by subtracting 1/2. So you'll find the solutions. Okay, next one, using quadratic formula. So quadratic formula, that means move everybody to one side and make sure we better to have a positive x leading term. That means positive first term. So we have learned for the quadratic formula, a times x squared plus bx plus c equals 0. We must use the formula x equals -b plus or minus b squared minus 4ab divided by all of them divided by 2a. And then just find what is the a, what is b, what is c. So a is coefficient in front of x squared. So now for the a is 1. And then b is 5, c is 6. So x equals -b, so -5, plus or minus b squared, that's 25. And then minus 4ab, 4 times 6, because a is 1. And divided by 2a, 2 times 1. And then let's simplify this expression. So let me borrow some space here. So x equals -5 plus or minus square root of, so in the parentheses is 25 minus 24. That is 1 divided by 2. So because all of this is 1, so I have -5 plus or minus 1 divided by 2. So when we have positive here, x could be -5 plus 1, that's -4. -4 divided by 2 is -2. So how about plus 1? Minus 1, sorry, minus 1. -5 minus 1 is -6. -6 divided by 2 is -3. So I have two solutions for this one. So we're using quadratic formula. If we are using the just like A&M method, we have the same solution. So let's clean this area for next question, number 21. Okay, yes, have more space. So this one, solve the equation by using the quadratic formula. So let's use the quadratic formula. X equals, so -b. So b is -4. So -4, -4, that's positive 4. Plus or minus square root of b squared is -4 squared, that's 16. Minus 4ab, a is 1, b is, 4ac, a is 1, c is 8. 4 times 1 times 8. Is that 32? Okay. Okay, this is imaginary solution. Okay, divided by 2a, 2 times 1, that's 2. And then simplify the expression 4 plus or minus square root of negative 16. When you see the negative number in the square root, that's the imaginary number. So one solution is x equals negative 4 plus square root of 16, that's 4i, divided by 2. Simplify this one, I got negative 2 plus 2i. Another solution, if here is minus, that's negative, is that negative? There's no negative sign here. So be careful, here it doesn't have a negative. Here is positive 4. Okay, another solution here must be minus. So 4 minus 4i. 4 minus 4i. Sorry. Divided by 2. So x should be 2 minus 2i. So I have two solutions. And here is positive. So one solution and second solution. Okay, next one, solve the equation by the method of your choice. So just use the way you like best. So this one, if I'm solving x, I'd like to take the square root to both sides. When you are taking square root for a variable, you must have positive or negative square root of something. So 9x minus 1 equals positive or negative 1, because the square root of 1 is 1. So 9x minus 1 equals positive 1. Let's solve it. So both sides, add 1 both sides. So 9x equals 2. So x equals, divided by 9 both sides, 2 over 9. And another case, 9x minus 1 equals negative 1. So add 1 both sides. So we have 9x equals 0. So divided by 9 both sides, x equals 0. Because 0 divided by 9 is 0. So I got two solutions. Okay, let's see, next one. So next one, next one is 9x squared minus 2x. So first one, I must factor out the GCF from these two terms. So let's factor out the x. So 9x minus 2 equals 0. So that means x equals 0, or 9x minus 2 is 0. So x could be 0, or 9x minus 2 is 0. So let's solve the second equation. So add 2 both sides, x equals 2. Divided by 9 both sides, x equals 2 over 9 over 2. I have two solutions. Number 26. How many questions left? Okay, not too many. Okay, let's see, 24. Number 24, just factor out the GCF from these numbers and the variables. So 63 is 7 times what? Is 7 times 9. That means GCF from 7 and 63 is 7. So I can factor out 7 from 7 and 63. And how about x to the 4th x squared? I can factor out the x squared. So I have x squared minus, so 9 equals 0. And here, this is a conjugate formula. I can continue to factor it. So I have 7x squared times x plus 3 times x minus 3. And solve them separately because 7x squared equals 0. X plus 3 equals 0. X minus 3 equals 0. So 7x squared equals 0 divided by 7 both sides. X squared equals 0. So take the square root of both sides. X equals positive or negative 0. That is 0. And then second equation is x plus 3 equals 0. both sides subtract 3, x equals -3, and then x minus 3 equals 0. Add 3 both sides, x equals 3. So I got 3 solutions. Next one, we can use substitution method. And then we solve it, because we have learned that if I'm using A and M method, I have x squared, for example, plus 2x, and for example, minus 15. You know, here's A, here's M, and then equals 0. And now look at here, this is x squared. That means if I squared the middle variable x, I got the first term, x squared. And now let's do the substitution. The middle term, let the middle term equals u. So u equals x to the -1. What is u squared? U squared equals x to the -1 and then squared. So this one has one base. So multiply the powers together, x to the -2. So O is here. That means this one can be written like u squared plus 2u minus 15 equals 0. And then if I can factor out this, solve the u, I can find the value of x. So let's solve it. If here is a, here is m, so the multiplication of two factors is -15. And then they must be 3 and 5. Which one is negative? So the multiplication is negative. So 3 must be negative, because -3 plus 5 is +2. So this one can be factored by into the u minus 3 times u plus 5 equals 0. And then u minus 3 equals 0, u equals 3, because both sides add 3. And this is not x, but because x to the -1 is u, is 3. And x to the -1, that's x over 1, that's 3. So both sides multiply by x, you got 1 equals 3x. And then I'm solving the x divided by 3 both sides. X equals 1/3. And another side is the same. U plus 5 equals 0. U equals -5. So the x to the -1 is -5. And then 1 over x equals -5. X equals -1 over 5. The next one is 26. So we're solving the absolute value equals 7. The absolute value means the distance from everything in the parentheses to 0. So we have learned that absolute value, for example, absolute value of x equals 5. Here is 0. That means find a point for the, because here is the point for the x. So the point could be +5. So the distance from 5 to 0 is 5, because this means distance. And also the x could be -5. So from -5 to 0, that is also 5. From solving this, x is +5. And then here is the same thing. That means 2x minus 1 equals +7. You got two solutions. So both sides plus 1. So 2x equals 1 plus or minus 7. So how about the first case is plus. 2x equals 1 plus 7 is 8. So 2x equals 8, x equals 4. Another case, 2x equals 1 minus 7. That's -6. So this is -6. So 2x equals -6 divided by 2 both sides, x equals -7. I got two solutions, this one and this one. Next one, if we are solving, solve the absolute value equation or indicate that the equation has no solutions. So for this one, I need to solve the absolute value. I should get rid of the -9. So absolute value of x plus 4 equals, so both sides subtract the 9. So 4 minus 9, that's -5. So the absolute value means distance. If can distance be negative number? No. There is no solution for the x because I can't find any value for x satisfied x plus 4. The absolute value of x plus 4 equals the negative number. So there's no solution for this this set. This is empty set. So next one, other than so this one solve the inequalities. So if I have 2x plus 4, I'm solving the x. I can't have a 4 here. So subtract the 4 both sides. I have 2x is greater than 10 minus 4. That's 6, positive 6. And then both sides divided by 2. So both sides divided by 2x is greater than 3. So the solution is x is greater than 3. If I draw a number line, so here's 0, here is 3, x is greater than 3. So 3 is not included. So it's from 3 to positive infinity. So the solution set is from 3, that's the parentheses, to the positive infinity. Because 3 doesn't have an equal sign here. It doesn't have this. That means we must use the parentheses. I can't use the brackets. Okay. Okay, that's the last question. Let's practice one more. If I have this, if I have absolute value of x minus 3 is less than 5. So find the absolute value of x minus 3 less than 5. That means the distance of all of this must be bounced by -5 and +5. Because in the class we have learned that the distance of the absolute value, the distance means the absolute value from x minus 3 to 0 for any point here, here, here to 0. Is the distance less than 5? Yes, because from here to 0 is 5. That means x minus 3 could be any point here or any point here, because any point here and here, and then move it to 0, the distance is less than 5. So could be any point here between -5 and +5. So x minus 3 must in the interval -5 and +5, and solve this inequality by adding 3. So x is greater than, so here add 3 is -2. And then here add 3 is +8. So interval is from -2 to 8. So this must be parentheses. Okay. So that's about the quiz. Oh, we still have some more. Look, we have too many questions left, but it doesn't matter. Let's continue. So for this one, how to solve the x? Get rid of the 7 both sides. Add 7, add 7. 3x is greater than or equal to 15, but divided by 3 both sides. X is greater than or equal to 15. That means draw a number line. Here is 15. Greater than or equal to, that means brackets, and highlight this side. So it's from 15 to positive infinity. Remember, you have brackets here because it has equal sign. So 15 is included. So you can put the solution set here, and then the graph must be, let's see, which one should be correct. Oh, sorry. I'm not correct at all because look at here. Here, I divide by 3 both sides. I divided by 3 on one side. I didn't divide by 3 here. So this is 5. That means here cannot be 15. Here's 5. So from the graph, let me find where is 5. I see this one is 5. And then from 5 to the positive infinity. So I choose A. Next one, I will skip next one because so how to solve it? Just distribute the 6 and then combine the like terms, combine the x terms, and combine the numbers. Solve for the x. Let's see, next one. This one is also not hard because we're just solving the x. We can subtract the 7 here and here and here. So first part is -1 less than x and less than +1. So interval notation is from -1 to +1. And we have the parentheses. So it's bounced from between -1 and 1. Next one, the absolute value of x is less than 4. That means x must be between -4 and +4. So x could be any point here and here. So x is between -4 and +4. Interval notation is -4, +4, parentheses. Next one, solve the absolute value inequalities. So if I have x plus 6 is less than or equal to 8, so x plus 6 is between -8 and +8. So solve for the x, subtract the 6 both in three sides. So the first one is -14, less than or equal to x and less than or equal to 2. So it's brackets because it has the equal sign. Brackets -14 and 2 brackets. Solve the solution solve the absolute value inequalities. So here is less than, that means the absolute so 6x minus 9 is between -5 and +5. And then we solve for the x. We add 9 on three sides. We have 6x is greater than, this one should be 6, -6. And less than, so add 9 here is 24. Divided by 6 is x is greater than -1 and less than 4. So interval notation is -1, 4. I hope this video is helpful. Okay, have a good day.